The 1980s were filled with inventions that seemed like they would change the world, but then vanished without a trace. Do you still remember the Betamax video player that only a few people in your neighborhood owned? Or the cream-colored landline phone that was once a dream? In today's video, we'll go back in time, open dusty memory cabinets, and look back at 25 items that promised much, but failed regrettably. You'll smile, you'll sigh, and perhaps realize you once owned a few of them. Gullwing Doors. Gullwing Doors, also known as birdwing doors, an image closely associated with the gleaming silver DeLorean DMC-12 in the captivating film Back to the Future. These doors were expected to bring a completely new style to the automotive industry, something that broke away from boring traditional designs and truly caught everyone's eye. However, despite their captivating appearance, these doors hid quite a few practical problems that prevented them from ever becoming popular. The most alarming concern was safety. Imagine if the car unfortunately overturned, these doors could get stuck, trapping the occupants terrifyingly inside. Furthermore, they required a very large space to open completely, which was almost unimaginable when you try to park in crowded lots or in a family garage. Not only that, but the maintenance cost for the complex mechanism of the Gullwing doors was also incredibly expensive, turning the car into a significant financial burden for the owner, far outweighing the utility it provided. It is because of these inherent limitations that, even today, Gullwing doors remain an exclusive design detail, appearing only on supercars or concept cars for display purposes. A reminder that sometimes groundbreaking beauty does not go hand in hand with practicality and convenience in everyday life. Vibrosaun, or vibrating sauna pod, an idea that sounded very relaxing but was too far-fetched for its time. Imagine a multifunctional relaxation pod that you could step into, like a small cocoon to escape the busy life. It was advertised to provide a full experience with dry heat warming the body, gentle vibrating massage seats, a small fan for facial cooling, and even a built-in sound system, promising a comprehensive stress relief experience right at home. Sounds appealing, even luxurious, doesn't it? But the reality was a completely different story, leading it to be likened to a human rotisserie oven. The biggest barrier for Vibrosaun was its sky-high price, up to $5,995 US, a colossal sum at the time, making it an unimaginable luxury item for most ordinary consumers. The size of this pod was also a major issue. It was as bulky as an old telephone booth, taking up a lot of valuable space at home, unsuitable for small apartments. And more importantly, people realized that Vibrosaun wasn't truly necessary, because individual relaxation devices like massagers or personal saunas already worked very well, even more efficiently and conveniently. Although it promised an all-in-one solution, it couldn't beat the simplicity and effectiveness of individual items, showing that sometimes the simplest solution is the best. Premier cigarettes. The 80s saw the birth of Premier cigarettes, a bold attempt by R.J. Reynolds to create a safer cigarette, minimizing harm to smokers' health. It operated on a completely different mechanism from traditional cigarettes. Instead of directly burning tobacco, it used a carbon tip to heat it, thereby releasing tobacco vapor instead of smoke, promising to reduce tar and other harmful substances into the user's lungs. The idea was humane and advanced, but it made users frown. Smokers hated its taste, describing it as smoking charcoal or burning plastic, a horrible sensation no one wanted to repeat. Smoking Premier was also extremely difficult and caused noticeable discomfort, nothing like the traditional relaxing experience of smoking a cigarette. Negative feedback from users extinguished all hope for Premier. Although it failed miserably and was quickly withdrawn from the market, Premier cigarettes served as a significant milestone, a pioneering step towards the modern e-cigarettes and heated tobacco products we see today. Perhaps the idea wasn't wrong, it was just the wrong time, and the technology wasn't sufficient to create an acceptable experience. Speaker Vest. Speaker Vest, a jacket specially designed with integrated speakers on the shoulders, allowing motorcyclists to play music directly from the jacket while on the go, providing a new personal audio experience. It sounded convenient and stylish, but reality revealed many limitations that quickly led to this product being forgotten. The sound quality from this jacket was extremely poor, easily drowned out by howling wind and loud engine noise, making listening to music meaningless, even more annoying than enjoyable. Furthermore, it completely lacked privacy. Instead of just you enjoying the music, the sound from the jacket's speakers would spread around, forcing everyone to listen to your taste in music, which could be annoying to others and unsuitable in many situations, especially when passing through quiet residential areas. Electric doormat. Who wouldn't want an automatic motorized doormat to magically clean shoes without having to scrub them yourself? The electric doormat was the answer to that desire, a product promising maximum convenience right at your doorstep, freeing you from the tiring chore of cleaning your feet every time you come home. But let's be honest, do we really need such a complex mat? The biggest problem with the electric doormat was that it was completely unnecessary. A regular doormat was already simple, effective, and cheap. It did its job well without any high-tech gadgetry. Adding motors and electronic components only made this product overly complicated. Production and sales costs skyrocketed, and maintenance became much more difficult. Consumers just needed a simple solution to keep their homes clean, and the electric doormat did not prove that it was superior to its humble predecessor. It even raised concerns about electrical safety when placed at the entrance. This is a classic example of how sometimes low-tech solutions still work perfectly, and not every problem needs a complex high-tech solution. ItalDesign Capsula. The idea of a car that could transform to suit every need sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but ItalDesign Capsula once tried to make that a reality in the 80s. This was a unique modular car with the ability to change functions flexibly, for example, from a bulky cargo van to a stylish sports car, simply by changing the upper body of the car. It promised an optimal solution for people with diverse car usage needs. However, Capsula's ambition was too great for the technology of that era. The technology was not advanced enough to perform this conversion efficiently, safely, and reliably. More importantly, consumers in that decade were completely unprepared to accept a car that could change personality like that. They still preferred traditional cars with fixed, simpler, and easier to understand functions. The structural complexity and the demand for users to adapt to a completely new concept made this breakthrough idea too far ahead of its time, unable to find a place in a market that was still seeking stability and familiarity. Have you ever owned any of the failed items on this list? Share your memories in the comments section. Briefcase Alarm. Briefcase Alarm, also known as Document Briefcase Alarm, was a security device designed to protect important documents in your briefcase from thieves. When activated, this device would spray a thick red smoke cloud obscuring the thief's vision while emitting a blaring alarm to attract everyone's attention. It sounded effective in preventing theft, like a scene from an action movie, but this product posed too many risks and inconveniences in real life. The risk of accidental activation was very high. You could inadvertently turn your office or home into a battlefield full of red smoke and terrifying noise just due to a small mistake. Furthermore, the cost of such a complex security device was probably not cheap, and not everyone was willing to pay for it. And most importantly, no one wanted their valuable documents stained with messy red smoke, not to mention having to clean up that mess afterward. A security idea that seemed smart and powerful, but was too extreme and impractical, making people question its feasibility. UltiCard. UltiCard, a versatile card with an integrated LCD screen and keyboard, a bold attempt in the 80s to replace your entire wallet. UltiCard integrated everything from credit cards, bank cards, security keys, fingerprint storage, to medical records, all in one compact device. It sounded too good to be true, but it failed. Technology at the time was not developed enough to make UltiCard a practical and reliable product. It was too complex to manufacture and operate, requiring a specialized and synchronized infrastructure to handle all functions from banking transactions to opening security doors. More importantly, users at that time were not ready to give up their familiar traditional wallets. They were still concerned about personal information security and the convenience of using such a multifunctional device. Although it failed and was ignored by consumers, UltiCard is still considered an incredibly ahead-of-its-time product. Its idea of a single device integrating multiple functions, handling personal and financial information, clearly became the precursor to the advent of smartphones today, where everything is integrated into a handheld device. One could say that the idea of UltiCard was not wrong, it just appeared too early, and technology had not yet caught up with that vision. Do-it-all system. The 80s introduced the Do-it-all system, a multifunctional handheld device integrating an AM/FM radio, a micro-cassette recorder, chop player, a calculator, and even an alarm clock. It promised to be a convenient companion for all your entertainment and work needs, from listening to music, remembering tasks, to calculating. However, the ambition exceeded the technological capabilities of the time. The do-it-all system could not switch functions smoothly and efficiently as advertised, causing interruptions and discomfort for users. The microcassette tape format also quickly became obsolete with the development of other recording technologies, leaving this device behind. More importantly, consumers at that time were not truly ready for such a multifunctional device. They were still accustomed to using specialized devices for each function, and a product that tried to do everything but did nothing well could not conquer the market. It is a testament to the saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none," when a product tries to embrace too many features without achieving excellence in any aspect. Dome homes. Dome homes, unique round dome houses, a special architectural style that emerged in the 80s to create homes of the future. They were advertised as extremely energy efficient due to their aerodynamic design and significantly lower construction costs compared to traditional houses, offering a radical appearance and promising a modern, sustainable lifestyle. It sounded appealing to those who wanted to live differently and environmentally friendly. Despite its technical advantages and sustainability, the overly peculiar and untraditional design of dome houses was the biggest barrier. Home buyers at the time, and even now, found it difficult to arrange furniture in a round space, and adding or expanding encountered many obstacles. The architectural difference, along with the challenges of adapting to a non-rectangular living space, made dome homes a cultural failure, unable to change consumers' deep-seated preferences for an ideal home. If you find these items take you back to a colorful and experimental childhood, hit the like button so that nostalgia never fades. Atari CX77 Touch Tablet. Touch Tablet Atari, a famous name in the 80s gaming world with legendary consoles, tried its hand in the field of digital graphics with the Atari CX77 Touch Tablet. This was a digital drawing tablet that allowed users to draw directly on the TV screen, promising a revolution in artistic creation and home computer interaction, especially for children and creative enthusiasts. However, technology at the time was not mature enough to turn this idea into a perfect reality. The Atari CX77 could only create very basic shapes, lacking the detail and sophistication that artists desired. The controllability was also very poor, making drawing difficult and imprecise, almost impossible to create valuable works. Saving or transferring files was also a major challenge, almost impossible for average users, limiting the ability to share and store works. And most importantly, a severe lack of supporting software made this tablet useless for many users. Although it was a pioneering idea for later digital drawing tablets, it collapsed due to technical limitations and the absence of a supporting software ecosystem. Private Eye. When screen technology was still in its infancy and bulky large TVs were the standard, a company tried to bring a grander visual experience by shrinking it. Private Eye. This was a compact head-mounted display, although it only had a tiny 1-inch screen. Thanks to clever optics, it was advertised to give the sensation of watching a 12-inch screen right before your eyes. An ambitious idea to create a miniature personal cinema. The idea was creative, revolutionary for its time, but the results caused unexpected problems. Many Private Eye users experienced severe nausea and dizziness after a short period of use, making the experience unpleasant and unsustainable. Their eyes had to constantly adjust to adapt to the virtual image, causing eye strain and discomfort. Furthermore, with its expensive price at the time and very few practical applications beyond simple image projection, Private Eye could not find a place in the market. Kodak Disc Film. The compact camera system using Kodak Disc Film and the Kodak Disc 4000 camera. Instead of bulky traditional film rolls, this disc contained 15 small negatives, promising convenience, ease of use, and faster shooting for general consumers, a breakthrough in simplifying the photography process. Unfortunately, that convenience came at the cost of terrible image quality, which became the product's fatal flaw. The excessively small negative size on the film disc led to noticeably poor quality photos. Images were often grainy, blurry, and lacked the sharpness and detail users expected from a commemorative photo. This completely failed to meet user expectations for a beautiful and clear photo. For a product whose core purpose was to create images, poor quality became an unavoidable death sentence for Kodak Disc Film, showing that sometimes chasing convenience while neglecting core quality can be a double-edged sword. Fisher-Price PXL 2000. PXL 2000 was a toy video camera specifically for children released by Fisher-Price in 1987. What made it special was its ability to record low-resolution black and white video onto standard audio cassettes, a creative idea to give children the ability to create their own movies. It sounded very interesting and unique, but reality revealed major barriers. Although designed for children, the price of the PXL 2000 was too high, up to $180, almost double an NES game console at the time, an unthinkable amount for a common toy. The video quality was extremely poor, as expected from recording onto audio cassettes. Therefore, this camera could not find a place in the toy market as it was unsuitable for most families. However, interestingly, the PXL 2000 had an unexpected legacy. It has become a beloved item among collectors and artists. Its unique lo-fi video quality offered a distinct aesthetic used by filmmakers and artists to create unique works, turning a commercial failure into a phenomenon among enthusiasts and those who appreciate raw beauty. Seiko TV Watch. Do you dream of watching TV right on your wrist, like a spy in a movie? The 80s made that dream a reality, at least in part, with the Seiko TV Watch. This was a wristwatch integrating a tiny 1.2-inch LCD screen, allowing you to watch live TV anywhere, anytime. An ambitious and groundbreaking invention for its time. It sounded very spy-like and futuristic, but the reality was a messy, cumbersome inconvenience. To watch TV, this watch required a connection to a separate pocket TV tuner and headphones, all via tangled cables. This made watching TV incredibly inconvenient with countless wires and accompanying accessories, making users feel bothered and uncomfortable. Furthermore, the price of $495 at the time was an exorbitant amount for a feature that wasn't truly convenient and didn't solve real needs. This watch is a typical example of how technology was not yet sophisticated enough to turn a great idea into a practical product for everyday users, and its complexity overshadowed any potential utility. New Coke. New Coke. In 1985, Coca-Cola, the beverage giant familiar to millions, wanted to directly compete with its rival Pepsi, which was gradually gaining market share. They changed their world-famous formula, launching one of the biggest marketing disasters in history, New Coke. The result was an unprecedented backlash and outrage from loyal consumers. Millions expressed extreme dissatisfaction, calling, sending protest letters, and even organizing massive demonstrations, demanding the old Coca-Cola flavor be brought back. The pressure from public opinion was so immense that Coca-Cola was forced to bring the old formula back after just 79 days, a rare event in business history, showing the power of emotional attachment from customers. New Coke was not just a product failure, but also a costly lesson on the importance of brand loyalty and customers' emotional connection to familiar products. Interestingly, thanks to the recent Stranger Things craze, New Coke was re-released for a limited time, turning a historical failure into a cultural icon rediscovered by the youth, showing that a failure can still find its value in a different context. Diet Pepsi AM. But Coke wasn't the only soda giant to stumble in the 1980s. In 1989, inspired by Americans' morning energy needs, Pepsi launched Diet Pepsi AM and Pepsi AM. These were two caffeinated soft drinks, specifically designed to be drunk in the morning as an alternative to traditional coffee. The idea was to provide a refreshing caffeinated beverage that was still a soft drink, different from the bitter taste of coffee. However, this idea was not received by consumers as expected. Simply put, they weren't interested in replacing their familiar morning coffee with a can of soda. Coffee had become a habit, an indispensable morning ritual for many, providing not only caffeine, but also a distinctive flavor and a relaxing feeling. Caffeine might be an attractive factor, but the taste and habit of drinking coffee were deeply ingrained in the subconscious of the vast majority of people, creating strong resistance to change. Diet Pepsi, AM and Pepsi AM were quickly listed as good ideas no one needed, a lesson in understanding customer habits and preferences. Apple Newton. Although officially launched in 1993, the idea and development process of the Apple Newton began in the late 80s. This was one of the world's first PDAs, personal digital assistants. A bold attempt by Apple to create a versatile handheld device with note-taking, calendar management, and especially handwriting recognition features. It promised to revolutionize how we work and interact with information anywhere, anytime. However, the Apple Newton was too bulky, expensive, and notably its handwriting recognition software performed poorly and unreliably. The very poor handwriting recognition became a joke on TV shows and was relentlessly mocked by the public, eroding user trust in a much-anticipated product. Despite being a major commercial failure and the target of much ridicule, the Apple Newton is still considered a significant milestone, a product ahead of its time. Its idea of a multifunctional pocket digital assistant became the foundation and important inspiration for the development of iPhone and iPad later on, proving that not every great idea succeeds immediately, but sometimes they shape the future in unexpected ways. And the idea wasn't wrong, it was just too early. Cabbage Patch Dolls. Cabbage Patch Dolls, or Cabbage Patch Kids, were a major cultural phenomenon in the mid-'80s, causing an unprecedented toy craze. These were soft cloth dolls, each with a unique birth certificate, creating a huge toy craze that drove children and parents wild, willing to do anything to own one. The special thing is that Cabbage Patch Dolls were not a product failure in the traditional sense, but a classic example of a craze that faded quickly. The overwhelming demand led to chaotic situations in stores as supply could not meet demand, causing pushing, shoving, and even violence during the shopping season, an unprecedented madness to get this toy. However, after that peak of madness, interest in them quickly lost its appeal. The craze exploded too fast and also faded too quickly, leaving a lesson about the unpredictability of the toy market and crowd psychology, showing that even the most resounding successes can be fleeting moments. Sony BetaMovie Recorder. Sony BetaMovie Recorder was one of the first handheld video camcorders on the market, offering superior convenience for those who wanted to record life's moments without a separate recorder. This was a breakthrough step, integrating both camera and recorder into one body, a revolutionary idea for the '80s. However, its fate was decided by the fierce videotape format war. The BetaMovie Recorder, recorded on Betamax tape, a format that quickly became obsolete, was defeated by VHS, which was much more popular and accessible. Consumers flocked to buy VHS recorders due to their convenience and wider compatibility. Furthermore, the BetaMovie Recorder did not allow immediate playback after recording, a feature users greatly desired to review their footage. With its expensive price and dependence on a declining format, the Sony BetaMovie Recorder could not survive the fierce technology race of the '80s. Capacitance electronic disc. Before VHS tapes and DVDs became popular and dominated the market, the '80s saw the birth of the capacitance electronic disc, CED, also known as the RCA video disc player. This was a unique video disc system for playing movies, with discs resembling giant vinyl records, but instead of music, they contained video content, an effort to bring movies home more easily. Despite being a commendable effort to pioneer in home entertainment, CED had fatal drawbacks that prevented it from competing. The image quality from CED discs was very poor compared to other developing formats at the time, failing to meet viewers' expectations. These discs were also extremely prone to scratches. Even a small scratch could seriously affect playback, causing interrupted and unpleasant viewing experiences. More importantly, CED could only play movies and did not allow recording, rewinding, or fast-forwarding like VHS or Betamax tapes already offered, features that users loved. In a market where users were looking for flexibility and the ability to record content, CED failed to deliver and was quickly eliminated, becoming an example of a technology that was obsolete even upon its birth. IBM PCjr. In 1984, IBM, the giant in the computer industry once considered a symbol of reliability and professionalism, tried to expand its market share into home computing with the IBM PCjr. This was an effort to bring the power of personal computing to every home, with a seemingly more user-friendly design, aiming to compete with rapidly developing rivals. However, the PCjr suffered from a serious keyboard design flaw which became its fatal weakness, making it hated by customers. Its keyboard was too small and difficult to use, often called a Chicklet keyboard, due to its small separated keys, providing an uncomfortable and imprecise typing experience, severely hindering user experience. Furthermore, it was incompatible with many popular programs at the time, making it difficult for users to find suitable software for work or entertainment. With a price that was too expensive compared to its features and the inconvenience it brought, the IBM PCjr quickly became an embarrassing commercial failure for IBM, a product that failed because the brand did not listen to users' actual needs. Macintosh Portable. In 1989, Apple launched the Macintosh Portable, hoping to usher in a new trend in laptop computing. It promised the freedom to work anywhere, anytime, a very new and attractive concept at the time, opening a new era for personal computers. However, portable seemed too distant a concept for this machine, and it became a joke due to its weight. The Macintosh Portable weighed up to 16 pounds, about 7.2 kilograms, a huge weight for a device called portable, making carrying it a real challenge. Its battery life was also extremely poor, insufficient for users to work for long periods without plugging it in. And of course, its price was also sky high, only for those with extreme financial and willing to overlook the inconveniences. With these fatal drawbacks regarding portability, battery life, and price, the Macintosh Portable failed to conquer the market and is a memorable failure for Apple in its journey to develop laptop computers. Colgate Lasagne. This is perhaps one of the strangest and most confusing product failures of the 80s. Colgate Lasagne. Yes, you heard that right. The toothpaste brand Colgate decided to expand its brand into the frozen food sector with lasagna pasta, a shocking move for both the market and consumers. This is a classic example of severe brand conflict to an unbelievable degree. The Colgate name was too closely associated with toothpaste, an oral hygiene product used for cleaning, not for eating. The sudden launch of a frozen food line created an unpleasant association and unacceptable confusion in consumers' minds. People could not trust a toothpaste company to produce food, leading to doubts about quality and taste. This lasagna became a laughingstock and was quickly withdrawn from the market, leaving a costly lesson on the importance of understanding a brand's core values. Atari 2600. Atari 26000 was one of the first home video game consoles and had initial resounding success, ushering in the era of home video games, making Atari an icon of this nascent industry. However, the downfall of the Atari 2600 came from a very different and tragic reason: market saturation by poor quality games themselves. Loose quality control led to a flood of terrible games being released, most famously the disastrous versions of E.T. and Pac-Man on this system, causing extreme disappointment for players. These games not only disappointed, but also eroded user trust in the entire Atari brand, causing them to turn away from the gaming industry. The situation culminated in millions of unsold game copies having to be buried underground in New Mexico, becoming a symbol of the collapse of the gaming industry in 1983. The lesson here is that final product quality is always the deciding factor for a brand's survival, and a lack of quality control can destroy an entire empire. The 1980s brought countless bold innovations, but not all were successful. The items we've just reviewed are a testament to a period full of experimentation and ambition. Despite their failures, they still contributed to the unique color of an unforgettable decade. If you found this video interesting and want to explore more cool relics from the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to not miss our next nostalgic journeys.